If you're looking for exclusive content, please don't look any further than joining the Trap Talk Patreon family. Some of the best reptile keepers in this industry are part of the Trap Talk Patreon family. As soon as you join the Patreon family, you connect to a Discord. You can also tap into an Instagram group chat, connect with some of the most diverse keepers we have in the reptile hobby today. Shout out to my Patreon members and be ready for Trap Fest 2026. It's going to be one of the biggest events yet. Find all information again in the very first link in the description below. And again, thank you so much to all my fellow Patreon members out there. Cheers.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 0.
Trap Talk Reptile Network, the coolest reptile network in the world. This is episode 745. Trap Talk, here to break down GTP shed testing with a company who's making a lot of noise right now behind GTP shed testing. You guys are in for a treat, dude. I'm super excited, but this is your first time tapping in. Do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, select all. You'll be reminding every episode released at the network. You know, we usually see him on Tuesday nights, but the mayor always comes through on a big episode when I need him. So thank you so much, Bill Stegall. How you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm doing great. It feels weird to say happy Thursday instead of happy Tuesday, but it is a happy Thursday. Long time no see. Thanks for including me in this. I appreciate it. You know, I've got some history with neonate shed testing in the past, so I'm glad to be a part of this and can't wait for these guys to break some stuff down. And I've got quite a few questions. I know you do too.
Definitely, man. And again, the whole GTP shed testing, I found out through you. I think, years ago, I would say you brought it up on this show. And, you almost kind of sounded sour about it because it seemed like it was working and then it just stopped, right, Bill? Or can you kind of remind us where things were going at a certain point and then it just kind of disappeared?
Yeah, I went back and looked through my notes. So I had my clutches genetically sex tested in 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022.
Okay.
And after that, the company that was doing it basically came out and said that, it was a lot of work. It was a labor of love. They were doing it because they were passionate about it, but they certainly weren't making any money doing it. And,
right.
I can certainly understand that. It took them a lot of time, a lot of man hours to get the results. And I must say the results were extremely accurate. I was 100% in what I could confirm, after the initial results came back, either animals I held back or other people that held back animals until they got big enough to sex them. They were 100%. It was great. But it was just, I think, very labor intensive for them. And about that time, the ball python shed tests started to become available for, this morph or that morph. So I think it's kind of a combination of different things that led them to phase that out. I do remember, and I don't know if you remember this, that they did have a policy, like if in 1 year you could get like 5 clutches, like a guaranteed 60 to 75, sheds that they could analyze, that they would make the run, but it was very, very expensive to do it. And there's no way one person, well, back then at least, was going to have 70 sheds they could send in 1 year. So
yeah. Well,
and then it shut down.
Right. And, I work with ball pythons, but what we're going to do with ball pythons is put them to the side tonight. Okay. Go over there, ball python shed testing, because tonight's about fucking chondros. And I think it's going to be game changing. We're about to hear. I'm really excited. And yeah, Bill, just kind of think of anyone better than you to be on this show with me tonight. So thank you
I
again.
mean, I can relay some of my personal, there's good things about shed testing, and there's a couple of things that I'm not going to say are bad things, but there are a couple of things that complicate the issues, shall we say.
Like anecdotal type stuff is what you mean?
No, I'll give you a perfect example. I have a clutch that's a mixed clutch of red and yellow. Okay. And every single person wants a red female.
Right.
Okay.
Of course.
So, it makes it, at least for me, when this was going on, especially with the mixed clutches, it made it more difficult to find the right person with the right animal.
Well, let's see how difficult this is for these guys, okay? Because we're going to be inviting on a company called Phenom Shed Testing, which used to be Shed Testing with Charlie. You know who Charlie is? Have you ever heard of that?
Yep. Certainly know the name. I'm not sure if I've ever met Charlie, but I know the company. Super
cool guy. But again, these guys are on another level with this stuff. So we're going to get to it. All right.
Let's do it.
So I want to remind everyone out there, Trap Talk 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. You get a brand new episode right here out of this network. And you can also listen to all episodes on all major audio platforms. So go after it. Go back to the beginning days, man, on any audio platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, all the major ones. So wherever you listen to any of these episodes, just want to say thank you so much for the support. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Josh Hansen over at Workshop Reptilium, taking things to a whole nother level when it comes to keeping the next level of species in the reptile game. Head over to Workshop Reptilium on IG. You can also go to his website, get more of a insight of how his enclosures are all set up. We have Jeffrey, who is a part of Workshop Reptilium on tonight's show as well. So shout out to Josh and shout out to Jeff. Guys, I'm telling you right now, these guys are doing it right. And I'm looking forward to going to their place here in May. So be ready for that. A lot of new things to be announced with Workshop Reptilium. So thank you so much, Josh and Jeffrey over at Workshop Reptilium. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by Focus Cube Habitats, #1 PVC enclosures in the game. All the enclosures behind me are 3x2x2 PVC design enclosures by Stephen Ashley over at Focus Cube Habitats. Go to focuscubehabitats.com. Select from 30 plus different design enclosures. They are the best doing it in the game. So thank you so much, Stephen Ashley. Appreciate all your love and support and everything you've been doing for Trap Talk. Thank you. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by ZooMed. All right. Just shy of 50 years, brand leader in the industry. Okay. Make sure you get your next product at ZooMed. You can also go to their Instagram, their YouTube to stay current on all latest products. You can also find all the latest products that they're currently releasing in the description below. My favorite being the Slither Sense. So go after it. Go check it out. Thank you so much, ZooMed, for everything that you do. What an amazing company. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by Mark Hager over at Texas Chondros. If you're into yellow neonates, red neonates, if you're into chondros, this is your guy, okay? He also puts on many other amazing Texas breeders on his page. If you go to TX Chondros on Instagram, you can check all that out, and you can simply go to his website, texaschondros.com, and see about all his projects that he's doing this year. So, all right, Bill, business is out of the way. Now it's time for some fun. You ready to bring on Jeffrey and Charlie?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, you guys are in for a treat. Do me a favor, smash that like button because it's getting down to business. Episode 745 coming at you right now. This is all about GTP shed testing. Let's go. Gee.
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, God love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
And we are live, episode 745. Stage, Jeff and Charlie. What's up, Jeff? What's up, Charlie?
Hey, what's going on?
How's it going?
That's good to see y'all.
You
Jeff,
as well.
crazy blowing going into your microphone. It's pretty loud. It's like picking up the wind. Okay, cool. All right. Is it your heavy breathing? You don't look like a big guy.
It's not my breathing. It's just a gamer headset, so that's probably it.
All right, boys. Listen, introduce the company. Introduce, what we're going to be talking about tonight. Whoever wants to take it. We're all ears. This is a very exciting episode. So go ahead and take it away. Whoever wants to start.
You want to do it, Charlie?
Yeah, it's we're phenome.com. Like I said on the intro, formerly shedtesting.com. We're excited to be here and talk about some cool stuff we have in the works. My name is Charlie. That's Jeffrey.
Cool.
But yeah, we figured this would be a great spot to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
I appreciate you choosing Trap Talk, man. I mean, because this is a network that just really loves green tree pythons, but this topic is something that is kind of been on the shelf for a while.
Mhm.
Jeff, like, where are we at, Jeff? Can you kind of tell us what this is all about, please? Because I've been bugged all week, and I've been starving people. I think Bill's the only one. I've been serving up the goods to, but everyone else is like wondering what this is all about. So go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah. So essentially, behind the scenes, we've been working on a green tree python sex test, one where we can get a single shed from an individual and determine the sex from that. It's similar to ball python sex test kind of thing.
Wow.
But obviously, it's taken us a lot of work to get to that point. It's not as straightforward as something like the ball python sex test. So kind of behind the scenes, we've been using my animals. So I have a collection of about 23 animals. And then we kind of have expanded it from there. I've asked a couple other folks to kind of contribute. And we're at the point now where we want to basically go through a higher level of validation where we need more sheds from other folks so that we can, reach our threshold in terms of accuracy and precision, and then we can release it to the public.
What you got for him, Bill?
So how long have you guys been doing this? How long has y'all's company been in, and you guys started with ball python sheds and then moved to chondros, or vice versa?
Yeah, so I've been doing ball pythons for, I don't know, what is it,
Wow.
3 or 4 years now? At least 3 years now I've been doing it. I don't know if your audience really knows me, but I'm not a biologist. I'm not a geneticist. I have a computer science degree, and I don't work in the field at all. I'm somebody who likes to figure stuff out, and I always kept reptiles, and I started breeding ball pythons and heard about genetic testing and started doing it.
Yeah.
And I taught myself it over the years and
Crazy.
turned into this. Well, turned into testing.com. And so I do it on the side. I hired an employee to help me and built a lab on my property. And I have a pretty intense full-time day job as well. So it's always just been, it started as a hobby and then turned into a business and got kind of too big just for me. So that's when I met Jeffrey and Josh, and Patrick McKnight always was, talking to me, helping me out with stuff. And we all decided that, the best thing to do was to, join forces so that I had help, because like you said, green tree sex testing has been talked about since I started doing this. I've been hearing about it. And like that other person you're talking about, it's time, it's money. And by yourself, I couldn't barely keep up with the ball pythons. I couldn't keep up with the ball python testing. Never mind think of anything else. So once, I got help and I got these guys on board, and, Patrick is amazing with the bioinformatics and the computer work and analyzing the data and everything. And Jeffrey's has green trees and knows everybody with green trees. So he's able to source some sheds for us and give me information and Patrick information about everything and why we need to do this and all that. And we kind of made it, once we joined together in October 1st, we officially became Phenome. It was pretty much one of the top things on the list that we wanted to do. So we started messing around and sequencing some stuff, and Patrick did his thing on the computer and did some crazy work, and it's looking really good right now. And like Jeffrey said, we need sheds. We need a lot to validate, and we want to make sure it works for all the localities, for designer stuff, everything, just to make sure that it's not just, okay, yeah, it works for Jeffrey's collection, or, we want to make sure it works for everybody before we start telling everybody, all right, we're good, start paying us and we'll tell you what it is. We know everybody gets really excited, and that's why we didn't initially in October, November, when we started really working on it, send out mass messages saying, hey, get us green tree sheds, because we didn't want to get everybody fired up again about it.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, it's not working out. We tried. But now we're at the point where it's like, all right, we're ready. Give us what you got, send us your sheds, as much information as you could give us on your animals, localities, obviously we need known is best.
Yeah, proven animals, right?
Yeah, we don't want. I think it's this, because
that'll kill you.
I deal with that with the ball python morph testing stuff when I'm looking at somebody's label and it's like, I think it's this, and then I test it when I'm validating and it's negative, and it's like, oh my god, is my test wrong?
Yeah.
And then you reach back out to the person, you're like, I'm not really sure. All right, now what? Is it or isn't it? It screws everything up. So, it makes you second guess yourself and all that. So we really only want to mess with stuff that is proven.
Yeah.
Or at least old enough where somebody's super confident. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Jeff will attest to this, and so will Bill. Green Tree Python guys have all their ducks in a row for the most part. And so this is quite the species to kind of get shit confirmed and dialed in. And with you, Jeff, was it just you gathering all the sheds that got this started? Was this all because you started collecting all the sheds?
Yeah. So between my collection and Josh Hansen, for the owner of Workshop Reptilium, we have a ton of different species. So I started doing actual shed collection then, but I also did, and you can do it with green trees too. I did scale clippings, and that can expedite things too in terms of getting samples out. So that was pretty helpful as well.
Yeah. In this case, we wouldn't mind scale clippings, but a shed also is good just in case, scale, you get one shot for the extraction. You want to make sure everything's good. So when we have sheds, especially a nice full clean shed, we're going to be doing a lot of experimenting, a lot of working. 'Cause even after we validate it, then again, like Bill was saying, it could take if you're doing everything by hand, manually, and sequencing stuff and shipping stuff to labs, and it could be a lot of work. So we already have a method of doing everything, a workflow of doing everything for ball pythons. So we want to eventually get it where we could use that same method and workflow so that it's seamless. So it's quick, it's easy, and hopefully we could get the prices low. We don't want it to cost hundreds of dollars to test one animal, because we have to do everything by hand and do all this deep sequencing and all that. So we're going to get it to the point where it's manageable when we release it to the public.
Well, that was going to be my very first question, Charlie. What are you looking like price wise? I mean, can you even throw a number out, or is it too early?
Probably too early. Depends on how the next month or so go. If things work, it's going to be more than ball python testing. I can tell you that, just because of the amount of money we've spent, and that we're going to have to spend over the next month or two validating it and optimizing everything. But I don't see it. It's not going to be over $100. It'll be less.
Wow, fantastic!
Better than thousands, right, Bill? Holy shit!
Yeah, I mean, $100 or less is very, very doable.
Yeah, that's the goal. I don't see that being an issue.
Yeah. But then we're also talking, there's multiple tests that we are that the future holds, right? I mean, right now we're talking about sex shed testing, but then now you mentioned something about localities and designers. So like a pedigree type of shed testing is in the future as well.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah. So that's going to be down the road.
Wow, dude. Unreal.
I think the idea is,
sorry, but that's why now it's so important when you are sending stuff in. Don't just tell me it's a male or female. Tell me whatever you can about it, because that data won't go anywhere. We could use that later on.
Yeah.
So just tell us everything you know about that animal.
Charlie, when people are, I'm assuming you're on this, part of the reason you're on this podcast is because you want people to send in sheds.
Correct.
You want a complete shed if possible. Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you want that shed dried before it is put in. put in
Yes,
the
so I don't have any green trees yet. I will have one in about a month. So I don't know. I know how to explain it to ball python people, but I don't know, you know, do they shed in their water? Are they dirty shed? From what I've seen, I have a box of green tree sheds here. They're clean as heck.
Yeah, for the most part, they're usually left on the perch or something overall.
Yeah.
They have been known to be in the water, but I think even then, if you pull it out, you could dry it out, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
as long as you get it out quick enough, you know, you don't want to leave it in there for days and then pull it out. Probably even if it dries, it could be bad by then. But if that's all you got, dry it out, send it in, and obviously we'll know if it works or not. We won't spend a fortune on that shed until I confirm that we got good DNA out of it.
Invariably, you know, when these things shed, you know, a lot of us are missing the cage and missing the animals.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon when they do shed to have that, I wouldn't call it a wet shed, but a damp shed.
Yeah,
but you don't want to just take that, put that in a Ziploc bag, right? You want to
no.
dry it out 24 hours and then send it your way.
Yep. I mean, and a paper would be best. You know, if it's a long shed, like we have our envelopes, but like even like these coin envelopes, these paper envelopes, you could get them on Amazon for dirt cheap. They're for coins. You could put you could split it in half and put one in each. That way, if it does for some reason have a little moisture left in it, even if you lay it out and dry, if it's in a Ziploc, it has nowhere to go. You know?
Right.
So at least these paper ones breathe. And if it is a little wet, odds are it should still be fine. But yeah, before you put it in anything, like for my sheds, I let them hang, you know, make sure you don't mix anything up because it's going to happen. People mix stuff up. We all do. But let's try our hardest to be focused in, all right, this is from that animal. And whatever method you need to do, if you got to thumbtack it to the wall and write or put a Post-it, something, whatever, to try to know for sure that is that animal. Because those are the things that screw up, you know, validation and, you know, development.
And time. It's time too. You're like kind of just you're stalling by doing this, you know.
And then it's one of us going back to the breeder, be like, hey, are you sure about this? You know, I mean, and then it's wrong sexes. Like when we were developing the ball python sex test, it was like one of our last validation runs on it. Like we did hundreds of ball pythons known sexes and it worked perfectly. And I was on the phone with Patrick and I'm like, dude, it called one wrong. Like, get out of here. I'm like, let me look at it. And I'm like, that's my snake. He's like, get to your snake room now and pop that thing.
Oh, no.
So the next picture I sent, I was a female. Next picture I sent them was sperm plugs on my thumb. I said, Tess is right. But I bought a female a year and a half ago and I didn't pop it. I took the guy's word for it and it wound up being a male.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that was the best male. That was the best mistake I've ever. Luckily, it was mine. We could, within 5 minutes, we knew that we were good. Instead of me having to track down a breeder, be like, hey, do you still have that snake? No, I sold that. Or, hey, do you still have it? And I'm calling it. So whatever we can do to keep things organized is best.
So on the topic of sex sheds or the shed testing for the sex, can it be a first shed for a baby? Like if it's like that, can it be that fresh where it's the first shed that we could turn in if it's good enough?
Well, not right now because we don't want that. But later on, you're saying
later on, like
once
once
test is out, as long as you pull that and hang that, you know, we just today actually I got a round of results back from Green Tree testing, and we tested a neonate just to see, and it worked. So,
jeez, man,
I know what that person's snake is now, but
yeah.
Charlie, without getting too technical, can you kind of describe the method that you're using to determine the sex and how it's different? You said it was a little bit more difficult in ball pythons, and so
more difficult wise being the research part of it because we don't have as much data on them as we did the ball pythons. So when Patrick is doing his thing on the computer comparing stuff, you know, we don't have the full genome yet for the Green Tree, which we're going to do anyway, because the stuff we want to do in the future is going to depend on that. So we need that. But yeah, I'm not going to get too deep into obviously the science about it. I'm not giving anything away, but it's basically sequencing and analyzing the data. The hard part is the analyzing the data because we don't have as much of it and as much research done like we do on the ball pythons, or even the Burmese python is a full genome for it and everything like that. And like corn snakes, a lot of stuff like that has already been researched, but we don't have anything really to go by right now on the green trees. So we had to get a little cute and figure stuff out.
So what sheds do you guys need right now? Like, what's the most important type of sheds that you guys could use from people?
Just so known sex green tree pythons, male and female.
Got it. Okay.
And like localities on there would be great.
Yeah.
Like at least localities.
Or designer, or if it's a designer, put down.
Just say that it's a designer, and if you know what the parents are, write that on there.
And for yourself too, just put your indicating number on it as well. So if it's whatever VV 1822,
got it.
Put that on there.
Got it. Okay.
Don't just write male or female Aru on there. Write male Aru Bill S
whatever the
ID 987.
Okay.
Yeah. So and just like you even said, even if you know the pairing of that snake, that's good too, right? Like as much as information as possible.
As much as you can, just so that when we are ready to do stuff like that, we already have that information, but also to make sure that our test is accurate all around.
Right. And then how far are you guys from this? Like, I mean, when we get to the point where now you could charge people for this test, is there an estimate on where you're at with that?
Yeah. I mean, the faster we get sheds in, the faster it'll be. But I would say if your crowd here starts sending us stuff and you guys send us stuff and we get sheds over the next few weeks, month and a half, it could go quick. It could be 2 months from now.
Is there a amount of sheds that you guys are shooting for, or is it just kind of like as many as you can get? I'm just curious if there's like a threshold that we're talking here.
Minimum threshold would probably be 150.
Oh, that ain't shit, bro. We could get that easily. Man, I could get you 10 myself easily. I know Bill can.
And there's enough proven breeders out there, male and female from reputable sources. I mean, that would be all that I would use if I were you guys.
That's the goal.
Exactly. Yeah. Use the ones that for sure are on top of it. And there's a lot of them. There is.
Right. Because if the proven breeders are called properly, then we're good. If that's when at the end we'll do some that are most likelies, but then that, at least for me, I get anxiety thinking about it. Like, oh my God, is it wrong? Or is this guy just not sexing it right?
Yeah.
So proven breeders obviously would be ideal, especially for the first huge chunk that we run.
Yeah, kind of going back to just chondro guys being just so dialed in, just with their pedigree and just like documents. I mean, it's document heavy in the chondro world, right, Bill? Like that's kind of what you almost have to be, I would say.
Yeah, and I tell people all the time, you never know if you have a male and a female, until you see a girl on eggs. That's that's when I say, okay, I've got a male and a female.
Yeah,
because they can notoriously, be difficult to probe. But you can have some what we call tweeners, where they probe 7 scales. Well, gosh, is that a male or a female?
Yeah,
plugs are pretty reliable in males, but certainly not 100%. 100% is when you see a girl land on eggs, she's a female. That's 100%.
That's so true.
That boy that was in there is a male.
That's right. Yeah. I still have a male that hasn't really shed plugs. I just know it's a male. I could be wrong, and I'm just baby going off the size. I've never seen plugs on this guy. It's baby J, the one I got from you, Bill.
Is that right?
He's so small, but he's never showed me plugs. But I'm thinking there's no way in hell this could be a female. But again, I could be wrong. The snake is 4 years old now at this point, but I don't know.
When does that usually happen? Like, when would you be confident in saying this is a male or this is a male?
Dude, like you could literally get plugs at 6 months, or you could get plugs in 2 years, right, Bill? Like it's such a crazy range, right?
Yeah. But to answer Charlie's question, I'd say never. I'd be confident. I'd never be confident unless I saw it lock with a female, and that female went on to lay eggs. That's when I would say it's a male.
And is there no popping whatsoever, even when they're bigger?
I don't. Yeah, that's.
I don't know anybody that pops adult or subadult green trees. You can probe them, and in the right hands, probing can be very accurate.
I'm not gonna lie. I did hear of a ball python guy that popped a chondro. God damn it, man. I'm not gonna say his name, but I know who you are, and I just don't think people admit it. But you don't. That's just not the ideal thing to do.
I think they probably pop neos too, and don't admit that. So yeah.
It's just a fragile area. I mean, I don't know if you've seen a real small baby chondro or even an adult like that cloaca. It's just the size compared to a ball python. It's so small. You know what I mean? And again,
and then you might not see that. You might be wrong, because even ball pythons sometimes you don't
throw you off. Yeah,
you know,
100%.
Then you'll be messing with it, and then you could screw everything up.
Yeah. So before we kind of shift gears into localities and the designer stuff, I have a question, because one of the things that's also really hard to determine, like to prove this, you have to literally do a certain pairing, but red dominance. Okay. Have you ever heard of a red dominant before, Charlie? I know you have, Jeff, but do you know what a red dominant is?
Talking about like red neos versus yellow?
Yeah. I mean, it's no secret. Reds are the sought after fucking neonate in the green sheep python world for many reasons. But again, like red dominant is a thing. Like people are shooting to have red dominance. Is that something that we could start sending shed tests in for at all? Like if
I don't see why not. That seems actually pretty not easy, but that's an easy thing for us to get data on. So you give me a bunch of
red dominant,
and you say that's the other thing then. So when you're sending in your sheds, and if you know if it was a red or a yellow, tell us.
Oh, right. And especially if it's a red dominant, if you know for a fact it's a red dominant.
So red dominant, are you saying makes predominantly red babies?
All reds. Yeah, all meaning even if you put a red neo to a yellow neo, the babies will still all be red.
Yeah. So that's just going to be a genetic marker. Just think like 23andMe, when you get something back from 20, you have X% chance of carrying the mutation to get cancer in your whatever liver.
Right.
That's all that is, so if we get enough data, we could certainly pull stuff like that.
That'd be, absolutely. That'd be very, very valuable to know, because like MJ said, really the only way that we know now if a particular red neo is what we call red dominant is you have to breed that to a yellow female. And if all of the hatchlings come out and they're red and a good size clutch, then that makes that male or that female red dominant.
That's the only way to know. The other way around, could it be a female that's red dominant?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And is there a yellow dominant?
Well, yellows are recessive. Yeah. So I think if that's why you have to really know if it's a red dominant by putting it to a yellow, because if it's not, you're going to get a mix of yellows no matter what.
You mean a yellow? Sorry,
you're good. You're fine.
So do you mean a yellow meaning the adult color or
no, the baby color? Yeah, because when they're born, they're either born a certain type of reds, and there's levels to it, and there's not much levels to the yellows. Like yellows are yellows. So that's why we're wondering if that's going to be something we could really tackle, because that this would just also be a huge game changer.
So if you breed a red to a red, you'll never get yellows, or could they be het for yellow?
Yeah, they can be het for yellow. So you can breed a red to a red and get yellow babies, but you can never breed two yellow neos together and get a red.
Gotcha.
Right.
Got it. Yeah. So that makes it even make more sense to me than in my brain about working it just like we would any other morph test, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
And like people always ask, oh, is this gene a dominant or a recessive? I don't care. Science doesn't care either. It's the same thing.
Right.
For us, I could never tell you if, something is recessive or not via DNA.
Yeah. But then, Bill, there's known breeders out there where if you buy a snake from them, it's a red dominant, because how much they've worked reds over time back into each other. And that's the way to make red dominants, right, Bill? Like you just go red to red to red to red for so many years, and those babies eventually all become red dominant. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, I think you can make that assumption, but really the only way you can assume that you're producing completely red dominants is if you've proved that both the male and the female are red dominant. Right. I mean, that's the only way that you can really, really say that every red animal in the clutch, every animal in the clutch is red dominant. You have to know both parents are red dominant. And the only way right now we can do that is if both parents have been bred to a yellow and all resulting offspring are red. That makes sense.
Yeah. And again, I mean, Jeffrey, you obviously chondros is a part of your bread and butter that you love working with. You're a huge passionate chondro keeper and breeder. How do you feel like this hits you as, you know, even though you're in it and you're working this, but like as a breeder and a keeper, what does this make you feel like knowing all this stuff?
I just feel fortunate, to be honest. I think this is a passion project for me. I mean, I'm not out there so much with green street python breeders. You might have seen some of my stuff. My Instagram handle is Specialty Herps, but I mean, it's just, to me, it's something that's really needed within the green tree hobby. It's, you know, I think we can even go one step beyond that. I think everyone has amazing, or at least very good breeders have good lineage and stuff you can track over time. I would love to do a genetic component with that, and then also have a database for everyone to look at, so we can look at snakes, you know, through the years, as long as this hobby continues to go. That's what I want to do, and that's kind of where I want to take things beyond the sex testing and, you know, red dominant and stuff like that.
Or think of it like if we get enough big enough database, so sequencing data, somebody could try to sell a snake they bought from me and say, yep, this is a Bill Stegall snake. Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Prove it. Yeah, right.
Again, and pedigree's everything in the chondro game. You know, we just had, I mean, we've had multiple episodes on what makes a blue line or what makes a calico line. And again, like, no matter what that is discussed, we don't really have proof. Like, there's nothing that we could have concrete evidence on. I mean, we've gotten as close as we can. You know, you have people like Patrick Holmes and John Irby who could really break this stuff down, but without the actual evidence, it's really hard to be confident selling something, saying, all right, this is for sure a Bill Stegall production. You know, obviously if you get it straight from Bill, that's one thing, but having this something that you could prove through shed testing, fucking game changing.
Yeah. Or traits like calico and blue line, they can be watered down.
Yeah.
You know,
which they are. A lot of them are now. I mean, but again, like, watered down doesn't mean you can't make really cool looking calico line stuff.
For sure.
Like, it
would nice to know, you know, right. It's 60% calico, it's 10% calico.
Yeah, right.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, all that
and
stuff.
Here's also the game changer, right? Is like, you know, you get a clutch from a calico line to a high BIAC, right? You have some that look nice, but then you have that one or two that just look fucking crazy looking. Probably the most calico line influenced babies out of the clutch. Those could be tested for higher percentage calico, right? You would think, right? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I think to me, technically, they would all genetically look the same.
Right.
Okay.
It depends. If calico is an actual mutation that is being caused, then I couldn't. It would just be it is or it isn't. You know, right. I'll always go back to ball pythons because that's what I know. Like certain quality of hurricane, for instance. You know, some hurricanes look okay. You can tell it's a hurricane, but then some look crazy. You know, there's going to be variation in everything. So I don't know if it is an actual mutation. I don't know if it'd be like, all right, yeah, has. Yeah,
that's another thing too. Are we going to find out if these are mutations? Like, I mean, because that's another thing in the chondro community. Like, other than albino, these aren't morphs. That was always kind of the stigma. Like, there's no morphs in chondros. There's only albino, right? But can we prove that to be wrong if shed testing goes the right way with this?
So from what I know, from what I've learned from talking to people and like other geneticists and doctors and like Patrick, and everything is a mutation. You know, just because, you know, if you breed two clown ball pythons together with no other genetics in it, the babies still could look different, you know. And that difference is line breeding, and line breeding is genetic mutations. It's just that they're smaller and it's not as apparent to see. So we can't necessarily like every time somebody wants a dinker shed test made, it's like, all right, we need a lot of those and we need to be sure that they are something. Otherwise we'll never get the data. So if you come to me and say, hey, these are all calicos, 100%, here's 100 sheds from calicos. Then we run them, sequence them, compare them to non-calicos, see the differences and see what we can find.
Yeah. And Bill, the reason why I asked that percentage question is because I think we talked about it, Bill. Like if you have a Biak Island locality bred to a monocory locality and they come out slightly looking different, we could possibly find out, well, this one has more monocory in it than Biak or more Biak than monocory. Like that, you know, finding out like what percentage is what in each Neo, because it could all range and be different, right?
I don't know the answer to that. I keep coming back to, you know, genetically, every single member of the clutch is going to be the same. Some of them may express the Biak locality phenotype higher than others. And that can be, like Charlie said, a lot of different things, you know, and like it could be a lot of different things that's influencing the way that animal looks. But I still think, and I could be completely wrong, that if you looked at every single neonate in that clutch, genetically, they're going to be 50% Biak and 50%, you know, Manicory. And Charlie wouldn't be able to tell you which was the high expression one and which was the low expression one.
No.
Yeah, unless like we go back to the 23andMe type thing, a lot is possible, but it takes a lot of money to do. So if we could build a big enough database of known animals, like, and that's what Patrick does. Like if we sequence and spend the money and sequence tons and tons of green trees and have great labels on everything, like everything you could tell me about it, like this is a high calico, this is a low calico, this is a good expression of this is a good expression of this. If we have that data, we could do stuff with that. That's not coming anytime in the next few months to a year. That stuff is going to take a lot of money to do.
Yeah.
But sequencing prices are coming down all the time. That's why too, like the person you were talking about, Bill, couldn't sustain it. It had to be very expensive because even in 2019, even when I started 3-4 years ago, the prices have dropped a lot for sequencing. So we're going to be able to do more and more and more over the next few years on this for less and less money.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I think you guys are right. They kind of take baby steps. If I had to say, you know, the number one people want, it's the sex,
right? Then
maybe the locality after that and percentage of designer, calico, all that kind of stuff. But I think you guys, you know, you get the sex thing down, you're going to have plenty of business and then you can move forward from there.
Yeah.
So now my question to you three then is, how is the industry going to take to this? Because
they're going to go nuts.
There are people on one side of ball pythons that love shed testing. There are people that don't like it. There are some people, I'm guessing, don't like it because now you can't sell your pos hets for a little bit more. Sure. Are people going to be like, shit, now I can't, I don't know. There's like males or females worth more. You know, Jeffrey was trying to explain to me last night. Well, it depends on your collection. And
depends. It really does.
So like, is that going to screw up breeders at all?
Yeah. I'll answer that very quickly because yes, I found it a lot more difficult in those years where I was getting animals sexed before I sold them because I would typically have a waiting list on this clutch. They hatch, great, send the sheds out. Well, I've got yellow, I got red, I got male, and I got female, and then invariably people would want what I didn't have.
Yeah, and you're gonna have people who are gonna not want to shed test, and that's gonna shoot them in the fucking foot because you're gonna want here's the thing, like going against shed testing is only gonna show like you're not trying to fucking show what the sex is of the snake. You know what I mean? And you're just trying to sell whatever you can sell. Because I was thinking, go ahead, Bill.
Once it becomes the standard, it's the standard, and it was the standard for 3 years. If you were producing high-end designer chondros in 2020, you were shed testing it. The standard was there. The standard was the standard, even though it was expensive. But people demanded it. They expected it. So
I'll answer that question real quick. I didn't say the test was correct. I said we got DNA. It worked. I don't know if obviously because we don't know the actual sex of the baby, but from what we have right now, it looked, it looked like it's supposed to look for the sex that, until we validate it. No, I wouldn't tell that person, hey, this is what it is. By worked, I meant we got good quality DNA out of the Neo.
So let's go to you, Jeff. How do you think you're going to work this with your future clutches? And what do you think this is going to do to the overall market of chondro breeders with having guaranteed sex now?
Yeah, I think it's pretty multifaceted, to be honest. I think established keepers or folks that have already gotten Neos, it's going to allow them to pick and choose exactly what they need. So let's say they have 3 or 4, they're looking female, they test them, they're all female. Like, I need a really high-end designer male. They can go and look whatever the best pairings are this year. Maybe it's from Bill, maybe it's from you, MJ. Be like, I need a male from that pairing, and then they're gonna basically want to get that. So I think it'll be nice from a buyer standpoint. I still think the really high-end designer pairings, like the really like visually amazing snakes, doesn't matter if they're male or female, they're gonna sell.
Right.
Agreed.
Because they're always going to be needed. And it's just going to be nice to know what the sex is from the rip, essentially.
Right.
So
it's a little bit in the same vein as ball pythons. Like when you have a super high end, brand new hot morph, the males are more valuable than the females. But over a couple, 3 years later, that flops, right? And then the females are more valuable than the males. But I agree with you, Jeff, that a super high end designer male is going to be the most expensive animal out there.
Yep.
100%. Yeah. And again, man, after so many years of building a collection, when you're trying to outsource some stuff, you want what you want specifically. You know what I mean? And as of right now, in these times, if you're getting a baby from me or Bill, can't tell you what the sex is. You can only hope. And that's one of the hardest things to explain to, I would say, ball python people who are coming into the chondro game is like, hey, MJ, I want to buy 6 chondros, but like, how do I make sure they're not all males? And again, like the only thing I could tell them is like, well, buy one that's older. Like you want, but then again, it's like, you don't kind of want to buy one too old. And not a lot of breeders sell sexed chondros because we know, like, here's the thing. I have a feeling that some breeders know what the hell the sex is, but they're in a position where they know they don't have to tell you because it could be like, hey, haven't seen plugs yet. Here you go. It could be a female, but they know it's a male. All that shit's out now.
Yep.
Which is huge.
One other thing too to consider is like the sex test is super nice and it's going to be amazing if it becomes available. But if you're buying Neos, you're still rolling the dice on seeing like a extreme phenotype. It's
still right.
And that's the good part of the green tree pythons. I think that actually helps the market.
No doubt. I do think that it is going to impact the market. I think it's just going to make things different. In other words, and let's say you don't have a super high-end designer clutch. Let's say you have a great clutch, but one that we would call moderate. The females are going to be priced higher than the males in that clutch, right? I mean, there's just no two ways around it. So things are going to shift. Instead of every animal in the clutch being $3,000, the females are going to be $4,000 and the males are going to be $2,000. Things are just going to shift based on that kind of demand, supply and demand.
Yep. But Bill, let's think of this. How many people out there have a chondro collection where they have just as many males and females? It's not really a common thing. You usually have people who are so offset that they need males or they need females, because it also, this goes with people holding stuff back, them not turning out to be what they thought they were going to be. So eventually when you have so much one sex that's heavier than the other, you need to go find females. But then again, when you're looking for a female, you're more likely looking for an older snake. And older snakes are kind of dangerous to get into in the chondro game. You almost have to tread carefully. You know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know.
The thing about the green trees is unlike the ball pythons, you don't need a 6-to-1 ratio. You need a one male to 2 female ratio, something like that. So, got to have those males, you just got to have them.
And probably right off the rip, it could help. I mean, I know like ball python people look to thin collections, feeding wise and everything. Like off in the beginning, when you could test your 6, 8, 12-month-old, year and a half that you've been holding back until, you could really tell or whatever. You can now be like, this is a male. I don't need this. Now I could sell this.
Yeah.
Would people be doing that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Look what shed testing is doing now for ball pythons. Like it eliminated holding back so many pos hets. You know what I mean? And that took up so much room in people's collections. And it's the same thing with chondros. Like when you're starting to produce so many chondros, you're literally holding stuff back because you need to know what's a male and what's a female. And again, with my experience, it ranges so crazy. It's usually not to almost 20 to 24 months until I find out, you know? And again, I'm not really stressing it. I'm not a big prober. I don't like probing. My hands are fucking pretty like brutal. Like I just don't want to probe. But then again, it's kind of like tick, tick, tick. Like, damn, I haven't seen plugs on this. I'm pretty sure it's a female. Nope, it's not. It's a male. You know what I mean? And again, but like, I kind of find that exciting, but then, you know, I would like to also know, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the same thing. Like people like cutting their eggs in ball pythons or seeing them pip and be like, okay, it did hit the odds. This is great. I get that. Like we've all done it and it's all awesome to see what you're going to get, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, with chondros, you could get a really nice looking Neo, but doesn't guarantee shit.
It doesn't guarantee how it's going to end up.
Yeah, I mean, you trust me. You want to celebrate, and it's cool to have a really nice looking Neo, but man, let that OCC kick in, and then you'll really fucking find out what's happening. You know what I mean?
How often do they shed?
I would say once a month, maybe. I would say if it's not. What do you think, Bill? It's hard to really.
Maybe a little bit less frequent than that. Maybe once every when they're babies. Maybe once every couple of months.
So an adult breeder that so what we're looking for, you know.
Right.
Proven animals, say obviously people might not have been hoarding their sheds hoping for this day to come.
Sure.
How long is it going to take somebody to get their next shed? If it just shed yesterday and they threw it out, what are we looking at?
I had to throw a number out 3 months.
3 months. Yeah, an adult is going to be a lot less than a baby. Yeah.
Every 3 months.
It depends how you're feeding it too, though. You know what I mean? Like if it's a 3-year-old, you're probably feeding it a little bit more frequent than a well-established adult, you know? So, and again, you guys don't need it to be a certain age. You just need to know it's a male or female, right? That's what matters.
Right.
Yeah. And I gotta say, and you know, people who listen to this are gonna be on top of this 100%, because the closest we get to turning these sheds in, the closer we're getting to this being a fact, you know, an actual thing that we can start taking advantage of. I
mean, and then we'll see obviously how it goes over the next month to see how many we could get in. And if people are still waiting too long, then, you know, if they're brave enough, like Jeffrey was, to potentially get tagged by green trees, snipping some belly trails.
Solo, by the way, solo.
We could obviously do that. But yeah, I mean, if people are holding on to sheds, and just get them in, and you know, we'll get rolling. That's the thing. You can't release something like that. You can't release any test without tons and tons of known confirmed hits, you know, calls on these animals. You know, the last thing I want to do is, all right, yeah, it worked. Let's you know, test all your snakes, Bill, tell you what they are, and then not prove out. You know, or I come back to you 6 months later and be like, hey, yeah, that test didn't work. You know,
yeah.
We're just like everything. We want to validate the hell out of this before we release it.
And Charlie, really,
go ahead, Bill.
I was just going to say, really, in the early stages, and I just know this, you know, from my prior experience, you know, those guys were wanting feedback all the time. Like, yeah, I told you this was a male.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to know for sure it's a male for 3 or 4 years. You know, I mean, for sure.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, that's always going to be, you know, asked for by, at least by us. Like I always, like even ball pythons, especially in new tests we release, you know, we do our validation with hundreds of known animals. But if test number 2001, it was 100% accurate until for 2,000 animals, then all of a sudden somebody's like, hey, this doesn't look right. I want to know, you know, tell me, because I want a new shed from that. I want to rerun it. I want to look at it, and then we'll go from there. You know, science is, you know, tricky sometimes. So we want to make sure that we're always getting feedback from everybody on any test we ever release. Yep.
So with that being said, Bill, would you say it's safe out there to where if you have a female and it hasn't laid a clutch, don't turn that shed in because you don't know for sure, right? Like if you,
I wouldn't. There's just enough proven females out there that I don't think you need to use the I'm 90% sure animal. I think there's just enough proven females out there now that you don't need to go to that second hand, you know, second level.
Yeah, I agree, and that would obviously make us feel better, and you guys as potential customers feel a lot better about it as well.
Yeah. All right, let's shift gears into the locality stuff because I'm curious. Like, man, I don't need to know the process, but I feel like this isn't going to be such an easy task compared to sex testing, right? This is going to be a little bit more challenging. It could take some more time, you think?
This one's going to be tough.
A lot more snakes, a lot more data, a lot more money.
Right. So let's talk about what sheds are needed for this. Because here's one thing that Jeff and Bill know. A lot of stuff that's locality here in this United States came in here labeled whatever fucking locality the guys decide to put on the bag, right? And we could really go off what we're looking at sometimes, but we're not 100% sure. So we're talking about sending in the right sex sheds, but how do we know we're sending in the right locality sheds?
Jeffrey?
It's going to be a tough one, right?
Yeah, that's tough. I mean,
I think Biak might be the easiest, you would say, right, Jeff?
I thought Aru might be easier.
I was going to say,
you're right. No,
start with the easy ones. Yeah, Biak and Aru are really the easiest to say you're pretty sure that that's what it is based on how it looks.
Yeah, and one way to do it too is let's say you started with an Aru. On our end, we could do a full genome sequence, so we could go through and pull blood and look at the entire thing and use that as a comparison point to others. So let's say other breeders are sending in Aru sheds. We can compare that DNA data to, our true Aru that we started with. And then we can be like, all right, these are matching up. This is an Aru. I think there's enough genetic difference, most likely, between all the different species that we should be able to see differences.
Yep.
It's just going to take a lot of samples because there's differences in everything. There'll be a lot of differences between two Arus. It's that's why we need to get as many true Arus, sequence them, true Biaks, sequence them, true whatever other ones, sequence them, and we're talking 50, 100 of them, whole genome sequencing on them all.
Wow.
And then that's when we hand it over to Patrick and say, have fun. And, he'll nerd out for a few nights and we'll see what we get.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's going to be a crazy project.
And so kind of branching that into designer stuff, what's the approach with that, you think, Jeff? If I want to know the lineage of this designer that I got from so-and-so, but he got the sire from Bill, you know what I mean? How do I determine the factual lineage of a snake,
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, if we get to the point where we're doing full genome sequencing on every single shed that comes in, we can do that. So we can actually compare to see if you for sure have a snake that has that lineage associated with it. And that's, we're working towards that. Once the costs get down, I think that is a possibility. But
I mean, it's possible now. The costs are way less than they used to be. And some people I know ball python people aren't going to spend that amount of money for us to whole genome sequence every one of their animals, but
I'll tell you
people might.
I'll tell you right now, Charlie, Chondro guys got money. All right.
So right. So I mean, if it's, I'm not going to spit out numbers, but it's doable. It's doable now to whole genome sequence everything if people are willing to pay and wait a little longer, because that doesn't happen obviously overnight. You're talking a couple months maybe. But if Bill was like, what, I want all my, at least just my breeders, I want their genomes. I want it. Here we go. Here's all their sheds. We could do it. And then you could take from there, just like human, fingerprinting, DNA, we could do, there's markers for all that stuff. And we could figure out if a snake came from that, if we had all that data. And then,
I can tell, I'm sorry, Charlie, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was going to say, I can tell you a perfect scenario. Now, it's, in my eyes, a little bit heresy to put multiple males in with a female, but I'm telling you it happens because somebody will put a male in with a female and they won't see any locks, and then they'll move on to male number 2. What they don't know is that first male was locking. They just
that's happened to me last year, right, Bill? Remember with my outcross, I paired my monocory male to my female, and I could have sworn nothing happened. So then I put my Biak in to make pure Biaks, but then I got obvious outcrosses. I got locality outcrosses, which was it was a surprise. It really was.
So I mean,
and you could get split clutches if
Yes.
You know, you could get some from one male and some from the other.
Exactly. And so that would be an invaluable tool to have, and a great reason for somebody like me to have every single one of my breeders sequenced. And I could be able to send in sheds from this baby and say, just want to make sure, you know, was this male and this female?
Not that.
You know,
So let's think AKC for green tree pythons.
Yeah.
Where we have the data, the
Categories.
database for all your animals. And, you know, it's definitely something that would be awesome to do. And I think we could do it, especially with, obviously we need major help from the community. And like you were saying with designers. So look, they do it with dogs. They do it with people.
Right.
You're 50% Rottweiler, 25% German Shepherd. All those are our genetic biomarkers. We could do the same thing if we have the purebreds of those localities to get the data from.
Yeah.
I think you know, you could definitely do it with the majors. I mean, like Kofiau, Aru, Biak, and you know, there's probably 10 Manicory that you could really with 99% confidence say this is definitely, you know, a Manicory or an Aru or a Biak.
And what we're seeing also, guys, is, you know, there's lines of Monocory that have been bred in captivity that are fucking goddamn near designer looking. Like the more we're working these localities in captivity, they're not looking like the localities that are coming in. They look a lot better.
They're line bred. Yeah, they're being line bred, but they're still Manicory.
Right. But then again, like when you, like for me, right, like I got a Biak I made last year named Fish. He's high yellow, not guaranteed yet, but I'm hoping for it, right? But if I'm able to produce, like breed him back to the mom and see more versions of him, I could at least have proof that this is an actual high yellow Biak line that I've worked with. And that could be something that could be attached to the lineage chart when selling the snake, right?
Maybe. It would depend.
Look at Gary's Prada line, right? Like we see Gary Shigavino's Monocory Prada line, which, you know, he's worked that for years, long enough to know he could call that Prada line. I'm making that as an example, right? Because their localities are going to be worked with a lot more. They are going to be bred in captivity a lot more, where people are going to be seeing some crazy looking shit. And you know, line breeding is everything. It's kind of what kind of makes you who you are in this game. I mean, Bill's known for his Jaeger stuff that fucking brought the sickness and everything like that. And I feel like that's important to me. Like I want to be able to produce something that people are coming to me for. You know what I mean? But again, it's right now it's anecdotal.
Yeah, and I think overall, like if you were to breed Fish back to the mom, it's still worth doing. It's because that's the phenotype that you love, and that's the best chance of reproducing more of that animal or more that look like it. So I would still pursue that no matter what. And then from like a genetic perspective, if people want to be like, hey, like I want a high yellow line that's specifically from MJ at Trap Chalk, they're able to look up something like that, or at least come to you, and then they can kind of research what they want themselves. So,
yeah, man, this is exciting. I mean, because, you know, going back to Chondro guys being so organized, I mean, if it's one thing I like sending off is a lineage chart. I mean, I'll never forget seeing Bill's lineage chart that he was sending out to people, and the one I got with his snake. And that kind of what makes you excited to be about chondros is like you could see the history of this snake. But if you have a certificate attached to that lineage chart, fucking what else more do you want now? Like that's and I feel like that's what this game's missing is like some actual organized pedigree type stuff that we could really attach to all our work. You know what I mean?
Become very dog and horse like, you know, what you guys steps that you guys are trying to implement. It comes, you know, very high end.
That's why I'm saying we could do it. I know it could be done. It's just going to take a lot of samples and a lot of money, and it could happen.
And but these designer chondros are like these high-end dogs, bro. Like we're talking the same price bracket here. So
sometimes a lot more.
Yeah, probably more in some cases. I don't know. I heard. Well, actually, depending on what we're talking about here, pretty neck and neck what we're speaking on. But what would make this game even bigger is if people knew there was actually a certificate attached to whatever it is that you're looking for, either the sex, the lineage, or whatever. But yeah, I can't think of anything better for the hobby, to be honest.
Yeah. Yep. We're really excited about it.
Yeah, no, it's like things like this are like, these are fun projects. These are things that, you know, I don't know how many more ball python morphs we could develop tests for. You know, it's still fun when you get one. It's still like, oh, we got it. It's awesome. You know, but to do stuff like this, and even, you know, we did the project for Josh with the anaconda. Like, that was awesome. You know,
Well, Charlie, let's be honest. How fun is ball python shed testing?
so fun.
You poor guy. But you know, it's only because you give somebody a little and they're gonna want more and more and more. They want more, and then they get comfortable and just complacent with like, oh wow, this is a fun place to just get whatever I want. But science isn't always that straightforward. We all know that.
Yeah,
like
no.
we are good,
and it's awesome. It's fun. You know, it's what kind of got this all rolling. So, you know, I'll never ever talk bad about it. You know, because it's what got everything going. You know, the ball pythons, because of how many morphs there are, and also the amount of them that there are. You know, like that's why right here, like green trees, if you say, hey, could we develop a test for whatever, I could go through the tens of thousands of sheds of ball pythons I have and probably find enough of them that I need. You know, I don't have that database of sheds for green tree pythons or for other species. So when we start getting into this stuff, that's where we need the community's help. Like, you know, this is what we need.
As you guys know, in some cases, the shed testing in ball pythons have opened up Pandora's boxes and have, you know, actually led to more questions than answers. And I think I have a feeling when you guys start doing with green trees, you're going to run into the same thing.
Yeah.
And you know, it just depends on how much money you want to put into everything. Like even for the ball python stuff, like, you know, we could get so many more tests if we want, but it costs a lot of money. And, you know, is it necessary for every subtle mutation to have a test for? You know, there's some people that don't like it at all, you know, but, you know, something like this would be really fun and like groundbreaking to get going. And I'm excited.
And again, if there's anyone out there listening excited about getting their sheds collected, we could almost kill two birds with one stone by sending in the locality with the sex, because you'll add that to the database as well, right? Like not only do we got a male shed test, but we got a pure BAC shed test or a pure ARU, and that's just it for people to know out there. And you know, again, with Marshall, I'm going to get on Marshall's bumper about this. Hopefully we get him on board. I don't see why Marshall wouldn't be on board, but Marshall's a known guy for having albino chondros. He has a bunch of pos het albinos, like a shit ton.
I mean, if he has visual or known visual and known homozygous and known hets, send them in.
Yeah. And you know, Garrett for House of Blue, he just had a high yellow clutch where I guess it's their possible 25% het albino.
Yeah.
Right. Damn, what a dude. That would be game changing.
Yeah, that
know what fuck, dude. I can't imagine the albino market in the chondro game would skyrocket, go through the roof. But here's my next question for you guys. You know, shout out to Ryan Young. I hope you're listening still, buddy. I hope the designer stuff didn't push you away. But you know, subspecies in the chondro game, which I didn't know about subspecies until like 2 years ago, until like I started hanging out with Ryan Young and he was mentioning fucking poulture, and I'm like, what are you talking about? But like, we could still maybe find out if there's more than 4 or 5 subspecies in the chondros at some point, you think, or kind of like determine what is a subspecies confirmed and what isn't.
A lot of samples. That's like I said, a lot is possible. Almost anything is possible if we have the correct amount of samples that we need to, and then whole genome sequencing every one of those samples individually, which isn't cheap.
And I
Things
think
are possible.
I think starting with the sex will lead to that. I think it's like, you know, like Bill said, let's tackle the sex one first, get that done. And then with the amount of sheds you got, trust me, after this episode, people are going to be sending them. I can tell you that right now. But with time, this will all start to get nailed down, I think.
And then once we say the next step is, you know, localities. When you send us, we're going to have to whole genome sequence a ton of localities. But within that, if you could give us the other data, like if it's, you know, if it is I don't know, would a locality be a calico or any morph at all or no?
No, I mean, locality should be a locality.
It shouldn't have anything else in it.
I don't know. But albino was in the wild, right? So,
you know, that data is not going anywhere. When we whole genome sequence that's why we want as much as you could possibly tell us about those animals. You know, how many eggs do they lay? Do they lay big clutches? You know, again, like things like that. Those are all things that data. That's it. We just want the data.
I don't know. This might be far fetched, but there are certain people out there who are known to have big number of clutches. Like the egg count is ridiculous compared to like the standard. But can that be proven through shed testing? Like that you're going to have a female that gives you X amount of eggs all the time? Or is that kind of like,
if you give us 50 sheds from animals that give you, I don't know
big
what
eggs?
a big clutch is, but
25, 30 eggs?
Give you, say, yeah, these all give me 25 egg, 30 eggs, 28,
Actually,
27.
Anything 20 plus is big, right? You would say, Bill? Anything 20 plus?
Absolutely. Yeah. Anything above 15, I consider a big clutch.
Yeah.
So the hope would be that there is some type of genetic marker that, aligns with that all these females that lay these amount of eggs have, that these females that don't have. It's possible.
Well, because there's an argument that feeding the shit out of them will get you a snake that gives you a bunch of eggs, but I don't know if that's really accurate. I don't know if that's true. I mean, it's hard to really pinpoint like, oh, the only reason why you get 25 egg clutches is because you feed the shit out of your snake. I mean, what if it is a fucking genetic thing where it's because of that line? What if? That's all I'm wondering.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, think about in humans, when there's certain things that make people have more babies, like the in vitro and all that. And when they're doing all that stuff, it could be the same thing. Or, maybe they say, oh, it skips generations for twins or something. So there's a lot of theories. So until we really start looking at the data, I have no idea what the answer is going to be.
Yeah. Well, I'll get Garrick to send in some sheds for sure. And then Bill, I mean, do you have any females that lay 20 plus eggs all the time, or is that kind of varies for you?
No, I don't have.
I've never
had a female that consistently lays. I've had females that have laid 20 egg clutches, but not
all the time.
First of all, I mean, it's difficult to have a female, I mean, there's not a lot of people that have a female that's laid 4 clutches in her lifetime,
That's true.
Most of the time, really?
No. Yeah. I mean, they don't breed that often. Breeding can really take away their longevity. It's just unusual to have a female that's laid 4 clutches or more, I would say.
Yeah. So that's probably something that's going to be not on the high to-do list, but it's something that could pop up if we have enough data about everybody's animals. It's like, whoa, what is this? Oh, well, looking at the animals this came from, these are all these females. And you never know. That's why the more information we have, the better. You never know what we could find. So,
yeah. Let's do a wrap-up topic. Bill, do you have anything you want to wrap up with? Any questions off the top of your head? Anything we haven't discussed yet?
Boy, I really think we've hit so much stuff. We've hit on so much stuff. I would just say, obviously, MJ, you'll address this where we send samples to.
Yeah, I'll actually, if you guys want, give me the address after this. I'll put it in the description below. And I'll put details, what we discussed in the description, like send this shed test with the sex, the locality, if you know it, any information possible. But if you guys want, give me the address. And
we're going to have something up on the website as well. I mean, you can go to the website and find the address, but this is we didn't do anything yet because we were kind of waiting to do this. So we're all going to push it out there and try to get as many sheds as fast as possible.
Yeah, even how to submit it. We talked about don't send a wet shed in a Ziploc bag. Send a dried out shed in a paper envelope. Just basic stuff like that.
And not from a 3-year-old female, please. All right,
right. A 3-year-old.
Just make sure she's laid a clutch. Only because we want certainty. That's it. We don't want to fucking beat around the bush here.
And that's the thing. It just unknowns will just push it out further and further. Because if then it takes time to, if it calls one animal wrong, I'm not just going to ignore it. We gotta look into it, and then it's just going to prolong everything.
Yeah, awesome. Well, man, what a great episode, guys. I appreciate you choosing Trap Talk to announce this. Again, this is just major news. Ever since Bill brought it up, it was kind of like little bit of a sour feeling that like, damn, we almost had it and now it's gone. But then having this news kind of just brings back all that excitement again. And I'm really going to be adamant about letting all my people know about sending their sheds into you guys, because I think the quicker we get on this, the quicker we can start using it. So, but yeah, Charlie, why don't you let people know if they want to reach out to you for anything? Where can people hit you up at?
Yeah, charlie@phenome.com is my email, or you could send hello@phenome.com, PHENOME. that goes to Jeffrey.
Cool.
You know, I'm on Instagram and Facebook still. Facebook, I believe it's just Charlie Williams, but Instagram I don't check as often anymore.
Cool. And Jeff, we're going to be seeing on All in the Tree Tuesday real soon, and I highly recommend you guys check out his Instagram, Specialty Herbs. He has some insane shit. Bill, you took a gander at what Jeffrey has, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be a good one. So, Jeff, I hope you're ready for that episode, buddy.
Yeah.
Wait, so he actually has good stuff, and he's not just lying to us that don't know any better?
Dude, he has stuff that could get somebody who has good stuff jealous.
No doubt.
I thought he was just BSing me because I don't know what I'm looking at.
This dude has taste, bro. Like he's produced insane looking Neos too. So no, he's the real deal. You're in good hands, Charlie.
All right.
One other thing too, we're going to be vending at Tinley, so we're going to be kind of directly across from Canova, essentially, right? Pat, or Charlie?
Yep, that same aisle.
Yep. And then if any green sheep python breeders, keepers are at Tinley, feel free to come up and talk to us. I'll have some envelopes as well I can give out to you guys, and
cool.
You can actually ship us your samples. So
there you go, man. Well, looking forward to an update episode someday, guys. Appreciate your time. Have fun at Tinley. Charlie, you're going to be at Tinley or no?
Yeah, I leave. I got to get up at 5 a.m. to head up on the plane. So,
dang it, Bill. Are we going to go in October? Can we go in October?
I'm going in October.
All right. Well, you guys have fun without us in March, but we'll be there in October and we'll get to it more. Okay.
Awesome.
Sounds
Sounds good, guys.
All right,
Appreciate y'all.
Do me a favor, guys. Give it up. It's a wrap for Charlie and Jeff, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, boys. I appreciate you so much. All right. Have a good night.
Take care, guys.
see it.
Wow. Exciting, Bill.
Yeah.
Very exciting. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited as well. I kind of, we kind of knew what was going to happen when they came on, what they were going to announce.
Right.
But I just hope that it happens sooner rather than later. I like this, it's going to be months and not years talk before it's available. So,
right.
It'll change the game a lot. It'll change it for everybody. It'll change it for keepers and breeders. And I think change it for the better.
But let's kind of be real right now for the breeder side of things. It's going to be a little bit tough, I think, because you got people who already shop around now, but they want what they want. I mean, you already hear it now. You have new guys coming in saying, well, I need females. And it's like, I can't fucking tell you what's a female yet, but that's going to change. That's going to change. So I feel like, you think most breeders are going to hoard their females now?
I don't necessarily know if breeders are going to hoard their females, but you're right. New people coming into the game, they want their females, and they're smart to want them because they take 5 years to become, breeding maturity in a lot of cases. So I think you're going to just see a really big skyrocketing demand for females. But that's going to be reflective in the price.
You think Marshall's going to turn in some sheds? What do we have to do to get this guy on board?
I hope so. I mean,
he barely shows up to sound check, Bill. What the fuck?
I mean, the albino, you would think just looking at it on the surface would be really pretty easy if they have sheds from a known albino. Yeah. Then I don't want to put words in their mouth, but it's really not that different than an albino ball python. I wouldn't think.
Right.
So that could be a huge game changer for all these people that are sitting on possible hets. Marshall and the other people that we know about.
Yeah. And honestly, I think Marshall would love to take advantage of something like this because he's been working on the possibilities for a long time now. You know what I mean? A long time.
Yeah. And he's got more than a handful of possible hets.
It's probably why he doesn't let anything go because he doesn't know what the fuck is really an albino, a het albino, or what doesn't. So,
I'm sure that's the case.
This could lead to more possible Marshall Mendez available Neos out there.
Yeah, very possible. They test they're not het albino, and he lets them go.
Well, Bill, I appreciate your time, dude. Tell Kim I said thank you so much for allowing you to come on the show. We don't really get to double dip Bill on a podcast, but he did it for us. All right, so thank you. It's
been a good week. I will see you in 2.
Yeah, guys, Phoenix Reptiles on IG. Go subscribe. He's the man. But give it up. It's a wrap for Bill Stegall, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, MJ. Appreciate your support, brother.
Yeah, have a good weekend, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
All right. Man, I'm excited. This is awesome news, guys. I know any chondro fanatic, keeper, breeder out there is really stoked on this episode, and you have a lot of reasons to be, man. So again, find the information in the description below. I'll get the address where you can turn in shed tests. And if you are going to be at Tinley, go hit up Jeff, man. Say hi to Charlie and Josh, really good guys over there. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more updates on this topic, man. Green tree pythons are everything. I love them. And this is exciting stuff. So again, have fun if you're going to Tinley. Enjoy it. That's all we have on this episode. Enjoy the rest of your evening and be safe if you're traveling to Tinley. All right. Don't, listen and drive too recklessly. You feel me? But please find all the links of my sponsors in the description below, and I'll catch you here next time. Sorry for the interruption, folks, but a quick word from our sponsors. Shout out to tonight's sponsor brought to you by ZooMed.
ZooMed is proud to be supporting the Trap Talk Reptile Network. At ZooMed, reptiles are our passion. For over 48 years, we've been creating premium foods, supplies, and habitats for reptiles and other exotic animals. We're a company made up of hobbyists that test our products on the hundreds of animals that we care for here every single day. Whether you're an established breeder or a first-time hobbyist picking up your first ball python, ZooMed has you covered with everything you need to keep your animals happy and healthy.
I'm excited to talk about this new product with ZooMed called the Slither Sense. It is a remote temperature and humidifying monitoring system, which we all know how important temperature and humidity is to your reptile. And for you to have remote access to your temperature and your humidity in your reptile room could really, really be a game changer for the longevity of you keeping reptiles. So guys, make sure you check out that product. Find the link in the description below. Click on it right now. Give me your feedback in the comments below. Let me know how you're liking a brand new ZooMed product. Shout out to Focus Cube Habitats, the #1 PVC enclosure in the reptile industry. Hands down, everything you guys see behind me are 3x2x2 PVC design enclosures by Steven and Ashley over at Focus Cube Habitats. My entire room at this point, all Focus Cube Habitat enclosures, and that is for a real reason. My reptiles love them. I've had majority of these Focus Cube Habitats behind me for over 6 years now. So guys, if you're looking to expand your reptile room and get yourself some new enclosures, no better place to visit than Focus Cube Habitat. You head over to focuscubehabitats.com and see how many different design enclosures you could choose from. And you can also follow them on Instagram and stay updated with all current new enclosures on their YouTube channel. So thank you so much, Steven and Ashley over at Focus Cube Habitats. And I think I got new enclosures in the driveway, so I gotta go. Shout out to Focus Cube Habitats, you are the best. Shout out to tonight's sponsor, Workshop Reptilium. Josh Hansen is doing things different over in his facility. He has one of the most diverse, beautiful reptile collections currently in the reptile hobby today, but he is doing things differently when it comes to enclosures, thinking outside the box, giving these reptiles bigger enclosures. I feel like it's something this hobby needs. So a lot of exciting stuff to come from Workshop Reptilium. I'm gonna be flying up to his place to give you guys a deeper look into his facility. And I'm also excited to have an episode with Josh so he can explain himself where his goals are headed when it comes to keeping. Thank you so much, Josh Hansen over at Workshop Reptilium. Make sure you head over to Instagram. Make sure you head over to Facebook. Also, make sure you subscribe to him on YouTube. You can find all the links in the description below. Again, thank you so much, Josh, over at Workshop Reptilium. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Mark Hager over at Texas Chondros. If you want to talk to somebody who likes to put people on the map, you have to go follow TX Chondros on Instagram. He has put on some of the biggest breeders out in Texas out on his platform on Instagram. Also displays some of his own amazing projects on his Instagram. You could also simply go to his website, see what pairings he has going on for this season, and also see his previous productions. Mark has been working with yellow neonates on top of red neonates, and his passion for this hobby is second to none. He's also mentored a lot of people like myself. So thank you so much, Mark Hager, for all your support. And if you guys really want to know how it is about building a community, then you got to go check out Texas Chondros. Thank you so much, Texas Chondros, for all your support. Cannot wait to see what you're all about in the 2026 breeding season. Thank you for all the fellow support. Thank you so much for anyone who watches the Trap Talk Reptile Network. Hit that like button. If you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, you'll be notified of every new episode dropping here out of the network 7 days a week. And also by hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, it pushes this network out to other new keepers coming into the hobby. So by you doing that, it does more than you think. So thank you so much again for all the support. And if you're not already a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. We're doing big things over